All right, so Fired Up Fridays is now Fired Up Freedom. I just want to do a little bit of a recap of season one. It was amazing. I had so much fun, a lot of amazing guests, a lot of great conversation. It was really, really awesome. If you're someone who wants to have a growth mindset, if you're someone who wants to take action and go towards your goals, then Fired Up Freedom is great for you. It doesn't matter if your goal is financial or personal. And now that we're moving into season two, we're going to be talking a lot of different things surrounding freedom. Fired Up Friday is now Fired Up Freedom. If you have people in your life that all they do is talk about themselves and they never ask, how are you doing? You might want to reevaluate those relationships. It's important to know how to set boundaries. But if it's not meant for you to move forward, that's okay. That just made room for the right person. Well, hello there, family. You're listening to Fired Up Freedom with Steve Ryan. Fired Up Freedom. All right. Come and tap into the world of the Freedom Community. Do you love having conversations with other like-minded people? Then the Freedom Family Community is great for you. Visit steveryan.com today. Fired Up Friday is now Fired Up Freedom. Hey, this is Steve Ryan with Fired Up Freedom. All right, so episode 3 of season 1 of Fired Up Friday, which is now Fired Up Freedom, was about relationships, love, personal, business. Now, what was the importance of this episode? Because relationships are important. You have friendships, you have significant otherships, you have acquaintanceships, business relationships, all kind of relationships. And the purpose of this episode was to give a little bit of insight on relationships and how they impact you, and some things in ways, notes of what you may want to use or may not use. I found it to be a very useful episode. I do feel that there's a lot more deeper, in-depth things that we can cover in the future. This was kind of scratching the surface, but the purpose of it really was to open up that surface a little bit, food for thought, so that the wheels start spinning. Because relationships are so important, and how we let relationships impact us is important too. Now, I will tell you, one of my personal struggles in the past have been overly helping people and choosing to love others more than myself. And in a way, I did very bad to myself in a lot of times, because a lot of those situations turned to hurt, pain, betrayal, and just a feeling of abandonment. So I'm still a giving person, but I had to learn that it's not my job to enable people. However, it is my job to be honest with myself. And when it comes time for me being moved to empower people because I'm moved to do it, that's okay. Not because someone else want me to, but because I'm being empowered to. And knowing the difference between enabling someone versus empowering someone, you know? And one of the things that I've had to personally learn to do is knowing when to let people go and knowing when to embrace people who are around. The reason for that is we evolve. Sometimes we grow. Sometimes there may not be any other reason other than just because that people can drift apart. Then sometimes you meet new people. Sometimes you have people you've already known. It just all varies. So my thing of what I do now is I take life moment to moment. And the first thing I focus on is, how is my reaction? See, I can't control what someone else do. I can't control how someone else treats me. But what I can do is control allowing myself to be around certain people or not to be around those people. I can control my reaction. Now, I'm human. That doesn't mean I won't get upset. That doesn't mean I won't hurt or go through pain. But what it does for me is to help my journey be just a little bit more balanced and fulfilling, more at peace. I'm really all about my life being peaceful. And anyone who comes into my circle that disrupts that peace, I choose not to allow it. I choose not to feed into that energy and not to engage. Now, I don't mind healthy debates and things like that, but actual arguments to where it's like we're pissed and mad and all this stuff, I'm really not trying to go there. I just don't want to. Like life is too important to focus on that. Now, for those who want to do that, great. Now, if some kind of injustice comes up, yes, fight for injustice. I get it. I'm all for that. But I'm referring more to like personal relationships, proximity relationships, people that's in the circle, whether it's personal, business, whatever. That's my path. Now, whatever works for you, do for you. But I think you'll enjoy this episode. All right? So I'll see you next time. Here's the episode coming up of Fired Up Freedom, Season 1, Episode number 3, all about relationships. Enjoy. Fired Up Friday is now Fired Up Freedom. What's up? What's up? What's up? What's up? This is Steve Ryan. Fired Up Friday with Steve Ryan. Woo hoo hoo hoo. SteveRyan.com. All right, so today, here's what I want to talk with you about today. All right. Of course, I've talked to you about mindset before, but I want to talk to you about relationships. So today we're going to hit different relationships today because relationships are so important to mindset. It really is because a relationship can make you feel great and it can make you feel not so great. It can really have an impact. So I want to talk to you about this because it really does impact your mindset. So the first type of relationship that we're going to talk about is love relationships. This is a huge one. Love is a huge deal. A lot of people have love issues. Some people are good with love and some are not. But here's the biggest takeaway for you to take before I dive into this. Make sure you stay honest with yourself, no matter what. Make sure you stay honest. If you're honest with yourself, then you'll be able to be honest in any kind of love situation. Because if you're honest with yourself, you're not going to let someone mistreat you. If you're honest with yourself, you'll be willing to walk away if you need to walk away. I had a conversation with someone and it really, I really had to talk with her, in a way that wasn't too. Okay, let me just come out and say it, all right, and I'll clean it up later. I had to find a way to show tough love, but still be sensitive at the same time. Because I understand how it feels. I understand, the heart wants what the heart wants. But if the signs are there that it's not working, you can't force it to work. To me, that's where the gut feeling comes in. If something doesn't feel right, and I'm talking about on a gut level, I'm not talking about if you're someone who's naturally insecure and naturally questioning things and things like that's different because it may not be anything wrong and those questions will come up. That may be a different type of issue. Yeah. So, but if something is nagging at you and the pieces just don't fit and it just feels like it's too much work, that might be something that you might need to reconsider. Because it's one of these things to where do you want the idea of the person or do you actually want the person? Because one thing I've noticed is that people try to change other people so much. Oh, if I leave, will this person step up if I leave? Like, are you kidding me? Like, that's not the best attitude. Like, if someone's going to change just because you're leaving, are they really changing for the better? Is that what you really want? Someone who changed out of fear of losing you, and now they're changing into something that they're not, and then they resent you later on and you end up splitting anyway. I mean, I'm not saying that a relationship is meant to be perfect. My main point here today is for you to be honest with yourself. Any of you who are in relationships, be honest with yourself. If you're happy in your relationship and it's working for you, that's totally great. I wish every relationship will work out. That will be really amazing. But unfortunately, the truth of the matter is, it's just not meant to. That's just not how it falls out. Some people are in each other's lives for a season, and some are in each other's life more long term. But the reason why this is important is because, let's say you're going through heartbreak or someone hurts you or deceive you, and at the same time you're trying to have a mindset to work on a goal, or you're trying to have the mindset to do something, that's going to interfere with your mindset. This is why this is an important topic to go over. And I'm definitely going to talk about it in the future as well, because it's so important. So, my thing for you today is this: one, be honest with yourself. And two, if something isn't working for you, tell yourself that you have the strength to walk away, and that you trust that the right person at the right time will show up in your life. If you trust that and believe that, that will happen. I'm a strong believer in it. Now, it may not be when you want it to happen, it may not be right away. Sometimes it may be right away. But don't let a relationship destroy you. That's my thing. I mean, whenever I've been involved in relationships, I've always been honest from day one. And the way my conversations usually go, hey, I'm a workaholic. I work so much because I love everything I do that it doesn't feel like work. It's a passion. It's like, hey, can you accept it or can you not? Because if someone came to me and it's like, hey, I'm gonna break up with you because you're working too much, then well, sorry, bye. I mean, I'm not trying to be cold and insensitive, but all I'm saying is this: is that if you try to hold on to something that is weighing you down and not working, it's not leaving room for something great to come into your life. It's really not. And the relationships that I've seen work have been ones that have been based on people being honest, even if it doesn't fit for other people. So this is not about personal opinions and all that. This is not about judging. This is clearly the purpose of today's talk with you. The purpose of today's talk is not to let a personal relationship impact and affect your mindset moving forward for goals that you have. That's the purpose of today's talk with you, because it's important. And I'll tell you right now, when those spidey senses go off and it's like something's off, you can't just dismiss that. But here's the thing. Here's where situations start to go wrong. You've identified that something's wrong. Yes, you're in love with the person, you want it to work, but then it starts to turn into, I'm going to try to make this work, but I'm being hurt, or it turns into something that it shouldn't be. Now, if you can accept a person as is, and you can somehow find a way to be happy with who they are without needing them to change, then it may work for you. It actually may be a situation that works. My opinion about this is that it's nothing wrong with people growing. It's nothing wrong with people improving themselves. But someone has to want to improve themselves. And another scenario of self improvement, sometimes people improve themselves because of circumstances in life or events that happen in their life, and then they improve themselves. But here's the other question: your definition of someone improving may not match their definition of improving. you know, so what if your definition of improving is, let me just come up with an example. I need you to come home at 6 o'clock every day. And if you come home at 6 o'clock every day, that's improving because we're partners and you're supposed to be here. That may not be their definition of improving. What if their definition of improving is, well, I want to go to the gym at 6 o'clock. And then at 7 o'clock, I'm going to go unwind and hang out. And then I come home at 8, 9, 10. What if that's their idea of improving? So, in other words, it has to match up. That's the reason why I strongly feel that when relationships fail, most of the time I feel like they're based on people not being honest. Because sometimes someone will adjust themselves when they're getting to know people. You want to, you're into someone, you're attracted to them, you feel this great connection, and it just makes you want to pursue them, and it might make you act a little different than normal, than your version of normal. So all I'm saying is don't let personal relationships run your life. Don't let it interfere. I understand people will go through emotions. There's going to be heartbreak. There's no way to avoid that. That's inevitable. But if you ever experience that, tell yourself, you know what? I'll give it this much time, and then I'm going to be strong enough to move forward, because that just made room for the right person to come in my life. So give it how much ever time you need. There is no time limit. Some people can get over things right away. Some may take a day. Some may take a week. Some may take a month. Some may take 2 months, 3 months, how much ever time is needed. But one thing that you want to keep in mind is you don't want to dwell in how you're feeling too long if it's negative, because at some point it's going to weigh down on you. Give yourself time to get past it, and so that you can move forward. And then if you have that type of mindset, I really do feel the right person at the right time will come along. Somehow it will work. Now, sometimes it's meant for people to break apart and go their separate ways, and they may even be with other people, and they may even get married to other people and have kids, and then get divorced and then come back together. That happens. So there's no rhyme or reason to this love stuff. There's no rhyme or reason to it. This is what it is. So I want you to remember, you are valuable. You deserve the best. And the best for you is what's compatible for you. And if that means letting someone go to make room for the right person, then so be it. Just remember, you're strong enough to get past it. Because one thing that you don't want to have to go through is wasting a lot of time and energy trying to figure a situation out. Either you're compatible or you're not. Either it's going to work or you're not. This is just my take, because time goes by so fast. So why should it be wasted on going in a circle with someone? Especially if you're not on the same page. Especially if maybe they're not into it as much. Or maybe you're not into it as much. So it's very, very, very important to keep that in mind. So now I want to move on. Now I want to move on to talk about family relationships. Family is awesome. Family is great. I have no quarrels with family relationships. But here's food for thought. Family does not always mean that it has to be blood. It doesn't have to mean that it's always blood. Family can be someone who have your back, you have their back. There's a bond there like family. It's a lifelong bond. And it's just sometimes you may argue, sometimes you may get along, but it's like family. It's just there. But it's important to know how to set boundaries with family, whether it's blood family or not. And the reason why I say that is because if you're trying to have a mindset to work on goals or to have yourself centered or to work on being happy, it can be very easy for people who are close to you. Like, let's say they're having a bad day or they're in a negative mode and they take it out on you and that energy is coming out on you. It can be very easy to drain you into it because since it's a closer type of relationship, it's easier to fall into negative because of the dynamic. It's very easy. So don't be afraid to set boundaries, even with family. Even if that means that they won't talk to you for a bit, that's okay. Because you have to be fair to yourself. If you're not fair to yourself, how can you move forward and grow as a person? So it's okay to set boundaries. It's okay. I mean, if it was up to me, sharing a little bit here, I would be close to all of my family members, but that's just not the reality. I don't wish any bad on them. I don't wish anything like that, but I'm just not close to all of my family because it's like one of my family members, it's like he plays the victim a lot. He says that people hate him a lot and it's always favoritism being shown to everyone else in the family. It's always excuse after excuse after excuse after excuse. And it gets to the point where it's like, okay, you know what? Enough is enough. Man up, take responsibility for your own actions and for yourself, and stop being a victim. No one's out to get you. So, since that's the way that family member feels, I don't really talk to that family member because it's like, what's the point? It's like a selfishness. Like, he doesn't reach out to me unless he, wants something or have a question or something. That's how it's been in the past. And then now it's just, we haven't talked in years, probably. I don't know how long it's been, but it is what it is. And I'm not going to beat myself up about it. I mean, I have extended an olive branch at times, but at the end of the day, I didn't want that dynamic. So I just let it be. Now, if he magically one day becomes a less selfish person and decide to reach out, then I'll deal with it then. But until then, what can I do other than go on with my life and embrace the people who are showing mutual friendship and mutual family bond and mutual care? If you have people in your life that all they do is talk about themselves and they never ask, how are you doing? You might want to reevaluate those relationships because, is people are going to only do so much that you allow them to do. I'm not saying that life is going to be perfect, but it gets to a point where it's about acceptance. Now, I don't have a problem at times, even though I'm very, very, very busy from time to time, I'll reach out. I admit that I'm not the best at that because a week is like a day to me because I'm doing so much every day that sometimes I lose track of time. But I do try my best to keep in touch at times with people as best as I can. And if someone reaches out to me, I do try to respond as soon as I can. When I'm available to, I try to respond. I'm not always as quick, but at least I'm still doing it. So at least I'm showing, hey, You are important to me. I haven't forgotten you. You see? But if you have someone to where they just only reach out when they want something, or when they do reach out, it's all about what's going on with them and it's not a mutual thing, then you may want to reevaluate that. I'm great at setting boundaries in my life, so I don't really deal with drama. The only type of drama that may come my way is something that's completely out of my control, but it usually doesn't have anything to do with people in my life. So that's just how I have my life set up. That's my choice and decisions, and I'm not afraid to let go when I need to, regardless of who it is. And I've had to learn to be that way, because if I didn't, it would drown me. And I'm the type of person that picks up on people's energy very, very well. So I have to protect it. And so I'm sharing this with you because if you're going through these things, if you have people in your life, even if it's family or close friends, if it's not a mutual situation and they're not showing that they care, you might just want to reevaluate those relationships. Maybe it's meant to be an acquaintanceship instead of a friendship. I don't know. It's completely up to you and your situation. But the main takeaway from this part of what I'm talking about is don't be afraid to set boundaries even when it's family. And then the next thing I want to talk to you about is business relationships. Here's my thing. And this is probably going to be something that I bring up again at another time because it's so important. When it comes to networking and business relationships, here's the worst thing that someone can do. How can I bring this example up? Okay, networking should be a win-win situation if you're networking. Now, if you're attending someone's workshop and you're paying them for a seminar or whatever, that's a different dynamic. That's, well, it can be networking down the road, but that's a client customer relationship in that moment, at least. What I'm referring to is actual networking relationships, to where it's not you're buying this from this person, but actually you're networking. And the best thing to do when it comes to networking is have a mindset that you're open for it to be mutual. Because imagine if a total stranger came up to you and said, "Hey, I don't know you, but I want you to help me. And I'm absolutely not going to do anything for you in return, but I want you to help me. And then I'm going to toss you to the side." You was really? Can you imagine your reaction to something like that? It would probably be get lost. So if you're networking with people, is nothing wrong with networking. Don't go into the situation with the mindset of what can I get. Have it like a win-win. I'm not saying that you can't learn something or have it mutual, but think about the humanity of a person. Ask them how they're doing and be genuine about it. Build a relationship. Let them get to know you over time. Because when it comes to, I'll give you an example. Like, there's this artist, and I'm not the type of person to put people on blast, but there's this artist, and she was asking me some questions, some music business questions. And I freely just gave the information. I didn't have a problem with that. But it's like the way that she came at me was all nicey nice and complimenting and all this stuff, and just to kind of get information. And then once she got the information, she turned very cold. And I'm like, okay. But it left a bad impression in my mind. And now whenever I hear from her, it's always what can I do for her? She doesn't give. It's all just selfish. It's a give and take. So I just, even though she's an incredible singer, has a great personality, as a person, I don't want to associate with her in a networking capacity because it's all about what can she take. It's not about a mutually giving situation. All I'm saying is be genuine with people and you'll have much better business relationships. I have great business relationships. Like right now, there's people that I can contact. Like if I truly, truly, truly needed something, I could contact them because I didn't come at them in a way of what can I get from you? If anything, I offer. I have things to offer, you know? And I genuinely am not looking for anything in return. And it ends up being a mutual situation. So when it comes to business relationships, just keep that in mind. Think about the humanity when you're networking with people. You know, if you have, if you're a business person, you have clients and things like that, have something to offer too. Don't just give me, give me, give me. That's just my take on it. All right. So that's the business relationship portion. Now, all these things that I discussed with you today, the love relationships, the family relationships, the business relationships, the purpose of discussing this today is all about mindset. It's all about not allowing things to harm your mindset. Now, how does the business piece tie into it? I know some of you may feel like, okay, I get what you're saying about family and the love life, but how does business tie into your mindset? I'll tell you how. If you go about doing business and only look at what can you get, people are going to start not responding to you. People are going to start having negative towards you, and that can mess with your mindset. That can make you feel like, well, what am I doing wrong? So in business, it's not just about you being open to make it a win-win. It's also about protecting yourself if someone's coming at you. If someone's coming toward you and you feel like they're sucking the energy, don't be afraid to set boundaries. One of the things that I say quite a bit when I'm coaching people is when it comes to business or when it comes to investing, anything to do with your self-growth or going after goals and what you want, don't be greedy and don't be desperate. If you're not greedy or desperate and you have that energy in the middle, you're going to be fine. And if it's meant for you to move forward on an opportunity, great. But if it's not meant for you to move forward, that's okay. Another opportunity will come if need be. But all I'm saying is the energy is best if it's centered and not desperate and not greedy. All right? So that's today's version of Fired Up Friday. I know it went over a little bit, but I appreciate you hanging in here with me. And have a good one. All right. See ya. Fired Up Friday is now Fired Up Freedom. Running from myself at times I can't describe the words I try, the fear